This week, we're going to be looking at the effect of inequalities on people from BAME communities. I'll explain more about what that means in a minute. We've now kind of finished looking at inequalities in a broader sense. So we thought about health inequalities, we thought about wealth inequalities. Now we're going to look at their impact specifically on one group in society. So the course specification, remember that's the document that tells me what I have to teach you, asks you to consider the effect of inequality on a group or groups in society. Now these groups include the elderly, disabled people, people living below the poverty line. Different schools will do different things. We're going to focus on the impact of inequality on BAME communities, or sometimes called BAME communities. It's different pronunciations of it. Sometimes called BME communities, but more usually BAME, and that's the phrasing that we're going to use. So in this context, BAME stands for Black, Asian and Minority Ethnic, and it's used to describe communities in the UK that are not the white British majority. Now, in the 2011 census, white British people made up over 86% of the UK population, but that's 2011, that's 10 years ago. That's expected to change significantly in the upcoming census, which is going to be done in 2021, but probably the data won't be available until 2022. And also, when we think about particular areas of the UK, that really doesn't reflect what that's like. It also means that even in 2011, there were over 6 million people of BAME in BAME communities across the UK. So that's a significant number of people, and that, as we said, that's definitely increased. Now, BAME is just one term used to describe this group of people, and it's undoubtedly problematic, right? It kind of groups very different communities together just because they're not white. So we know that the experience of black people in the UK is very, very different to the experience of Asian people, and even within that, we know the experience of Chinese origin people is very different to the experience of Pakistani origin people. So this BAME grouping is controversial at times. Some people find it very difficult. Some people feel like it's overly simplistic. And to be honest with you, it is. Other terms that we might use, like people of colour, you'll have heard me use that. That's kind of even more broad as well. The official term, although we're moving towards BAME in most official documents, but the official term of ethnic minorities, sometimes people see that as implying that there's not very many non-white people. When you start talking about people as minorities, it sort of takes away some of their power and importance and kind of gives you this idea that there's not very many of them, which, as we've seen, is just not true in the UK. Like, language is hard and it's complicated and it's difficult, but it is undoubtedly true that all non-white ethnicities face inequality in the UK to some extent. And that we know that people in BAME communities are more vulnerable to health inequalities, to wealth inequalities, and to all sorts of other inequalities that we're going to look at in this section. So for the purposes of our SQA higher exam, we're going to consider BAME communities a group in society, and we're going to look at the impact on them as a whole, but we're also going to try and really think about specific examples for different individual communities.